One of the weird lies the elites have been told is that it's very easy to start a family when you're 45. Well, human biology
says otherwise.
God says otherwise, right? And so I really think that a core part of what's wrong with journalism in America is that you have a group of people who are dealing with their own like psychotic breaks. I mean, if you think of the craziest journalists in American life, they're all in their late 30s or early 40s. They have all reached this point where I think they recognize that their lives are miserable and unhappy, but they all feel like they've reached the point of no return, right? And those are the most psychotic people. And unfortunately, we just live in a world where they have too much power. That's part of our job, is to change it.
Okay, bearing in mind that I've been assured that he has a very high IQ and is a great public speaker, and I almost fell asleep during that. I want you to Google projection, and I want you to think about it in light of what you just heard from JD Vance. So JD Vance is in exactly that period of his life that he was just describing there. JD Vance, over the past couple of years, just decided to set absolute fire to every one of the supposed principles that he once had and ally himself with a guy he referenced could be potentially America's Hitler. He correctly diagnosed for a period of about 2 years how much of Donald Trump was a con man, the grift that he was running on conservative working class Americans, and why it was appealing, why it would work. And then he decided, well, I'm cruising into my late 30s and I'm not liking the path of my life, so I guess I'll be a right-wing grifter too. And that's what he did. And now he has to stand in crowds with that are mocking his wife for the fact that she regrettably was not born white. And he had to put out a ridiculous, pathetic statement about that, refusing to truly criticize the racists in his own party that have tried to drive his wife out of it. And that's who he is.
A storm is tearing up the digital media industry. Only our audience can save us in these difficult times. Help us reach our goal of 100,000 new members at tyt.com/team.
That's who he is. That's not just who he is. He's other things too. You can see in this photo, he was going to events with framed Nazi memorabilia and apparently had no problem with it. You can see the flag on the table just to the left of him right there. We can actually zoom in on it. He is a weirdo and he has totally redone his life in pursuit of money and power. Now, is that better or worse than getting a bunch of cats? I don't know. He would say it's better. I personally think it's worse because he's willing to set fire to America in pursuit of whatever he sees as his life being coming out of his midlife crisis. But Francesca, what do you think?
Yeah, no, you absolutely nailed it. I mean, he is the Kirsten Sinema of Republicans. He's the most dead inside person we've ever seen in public life. I mean, he just described himself like journalists. Like, first of all, I love the way that journalists are like, they're now this like minority that like the right loves to just like crap on. Like I just, the journalist, they're born that way. I don't know. Like they're, immigrants and whatnot. Again, women, another group that they hate. But like, that's exactly what he is. And the New York Times recently had this entire, article about his former friend who was in law school with him, who is trans, and they had cordial communication for many, 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 many years, up until he was running for Senate, right? He included a bit about them in the Hillbilly Elegy. He talked about not liking the cops. He talked about, obviously the rise of Donald Trump, all of this stuff, but he had to cut ties with that person. And that person then leaked all of their correspondences to the New York Times, or gave it to the New York Times, because the guy is a fraud. He is absolutely a power-hungry fraud, and he's basically a puppet for billionaire cash, for Peter Thiel, for crypto billionaires. I mean, that is exactly what he is. So again, John, every accusation is a confession. They tell on themselves time and again.
100%. Yeah, we know who he is. We know he doesn't like that some of it has come out. He doesn't like that the cat lady stuff is being referenced. So we're gonna talk a little bit more about that later on the show, but we know who he is. We know how deeply weird their life choices are, their ideology is, the vision they have for America is. And I feel confident in saying I don't think that anything like a majority of America is interested in any of it. Thanks for watching our video. Did you know that you can support our show by becoming a subscriber? Just click the subscribe button and also ring the bell so that you get notifications when we're live or when we post new content.